Once upon a land where the snow overwhelmed, in a strange and unique place called the Realm. Gather your corpses, your loved ones and lost, and join our odd tale of a monstrous cost. Our story begins on an airship up high, with Professor Brassthorn overlooking the sky. With a warm mug of coffee and a pocket watch in hand, he began his descent on Epitaph Land. With gearworks running smoothly and steam breathing hot, the airship was cozy as it rounded the yacht. After dealing with vampire, werewolves, and loons, it was relaxing to hear the festival tunes. Through foggy porthole, the professor's eyes did alight. Jack-o'-lanterns and garlands adorned the manor's sight. The jack-o'-lanterns were caroling and jingling bells, and the garlands writhed and danced in the spells. The saltwater way was frozen, so we landed on the bridge. Pathway torches blazed, gold light melting the cold ridge. As the drawbridge opened and the chains came alive, roused icicle bats broke free and took to the sky. A kind warmth bellowed forth from the opening door, spices and sweets and incense galore. The professor marched forth past the golems looming near. Epitaph Manor truly swelled the season with cheer. Once he stepped inside, shaking the snow from his duster, the professor cleared his throat for the words he would muster.
Hello? It's I, the professor. Is anyone here?
Then a gargoyle descended and beckoned him near. The gargoyle was sporting a long icicle beard, and his strange tiny hat with small bells made him look weird. He snorted, grunted, gesturing down the west hall, to the cauldron parlor where Lady Epitaph did call.
Season's greetings to you, my good professor. Could you hand me that book of Yuletide lore?
A cage fell in the cauldron with a push of a lever.
I say, Lady Epitaph, you're looking as radiant as ever.
Thank you. The Lord should arrive shortly after I bake this ancient mummy trapped in this demonic fruitcake.
What's in the brew?
The professor did inquire, warming his boots by the cauldron's fire.
An old family drink, a tradition of my coven. Time to pull the baked mummy from out of the oven.
They laughed and they toasted to the holiday cheer. Lady Epitaph with witch's brew, Professor with a gear beer. When suddenly Lord Epitaph burst in with the clamor.
There are monstrous snow golems approaching the manor.
Why did the jack-o'-lanterns not sound an alarm?
Professor mumbled with a mouthful of mummy arm.
This magic bears the ancient and old familiar stain. The HollyFilth's magic runs rampant again.
What in burning causes a HollyFilth you speak?
Professor asked, peeling off the poor mummy's cheek.
The HollyFilth is a wicked and demonic old beast, awakening in winter to plunder and feast. He was conjured by an evil and greedy archmage, a culmination of magic and rage.
And then a look of yearning on her face did appear.
Did you happen to buy us some Hollystones this year?
I'm afraid the coffers run a bit dry, my dear. The price for a Hollystone quadrupled this year.
Sadly, Professor looked puzzled while chewing an ear.
You see, when the time of the HollyFilth comes to dismay, you require a Hollystone to dispel it away. Now prepare for a battle, no time to explain. It's time we see if snow golems feel pain. Put down that delicious mummy, Professor, make haste. Now we must hurry and lay these snow golems to waste.
I'll go warn the children of the hideous snows, and proceed to hand out the flaming crossbows.
And off they dispersed as quick as a shine, the professor still chewing the soft mummy's spine. The gargoyles opened the doors and off they set, to dispatch the frosty golems from the parapet. Through foggy spyglass the professor saw near the trees, the snow outside the manor was congealing with ease. Boulders of snow formed torsos, limbs, odd growths in a head, gathering trees and ice and rising like the undead. They stumbled like horrendous monsters 5 fathoms tall, and slowly began to ascend up the manor's wall. The jack-o'-lanterns were far too terrified to sing. Fear froze their vines, no warning alarms nor bells did they ring. They seemed to be struck in an awfully ancient trance, frozen and petrified as the snow golems advanced. Gargoyles bolted their stone wings, crackling through the wind, and began to bash and cleave to the golems to no end. The snow golems roared and crashed with a deafening sound, the gargoyles rending their form back down to the ground. The manor fell silent with the harrowing breeze, the silence only broken by the professor's sneeze. Suddenly vines unwound and bells began to ring, and the frozen jack-o'-lanterns restarted to sing. The duo returned to the warming burn of the hearth. The gargoyles returned to their post caked with iced earth. The manor was at peace with echoes of the mother, warning children not to shoot the crossbows at each other. Lord Epitaph propped his sword against the leather chair, pondering deeply and shaking the snow from his hair.
This year has been a trying endeavor for us all. Werewolf pirates in the summer, vampire in the fall. I'm sick of spending my treasure each year on Hollystone, knowing that my lording lands share no peace from my throne. These expensive Hollystones are far too fragile to seek, growing in the winter, shattering by the end of the week. They grow from underground orchard, mined by the peons, in the 12th French Township, in the Forest of Eons. With escalating magic of the HollyFilth's grip, I guess we have little choice than to go make a trip.
I've consulted my grimoires, shadow books, tomes, and lore. The HollyFilth's mischief shrouds nearly every shore. Wherever there may be snow, frost, or ice on the land, that part of the realm has felt the HollyFilth's dark hand. Said to be large as a spire and wet like black rains, leather skin covered in purple and green reddish veins. His furry mane is matted like twigs, insect legs black, and terrible tentacles running all down his back. His hands are like claws with ravenous mouths trapped inside, a sack of children's body parts dangling at his side. His eyes glow amber and drip with an ochre-like rust. His stench is tumultuous, reeking rotted pine musk. His magic is powerful, wielding the ice and snow, and every year it seems that his mastery grows. Only way to prevent your home from witnessing harm is to hang a hollystone on the mantle like a charm.
Let's disembark on the Lucid and take to the skies. We can make it to the township before the moon rise.
So they gathered their weapons, their spells, and their gear, marched to the airship with the professor at the rear. He turned back and ran to see if the mummy was still there, but the hellhounds had ate it, leaving the bones strewn bare. The Lucid fired up and detached from the main ship. Brassthorn threw the throttle, Epitaph yelled,
Let her rip!
The excursion vessel Lucid roared through the snow. Scientists, swordsmen, witch, and jack-o'-lantern in tow. On a quest to find a stone that would repel the beast. Forest of Aeon's 12th French Township bearing northeast. On board, they talked seasons and the future of Threnody, all while the jack-o'-lantern caroled its melody.
After all we've just been through, it's a blessing to know that good cheer and good health can be found in this year's snow.
Yes, Lady Epitaph, I can certainly agree. The times have been rough and we've so much work to achieve. But we still stand openly at the future we breathe.
We have a great road ahead, even blinded by snow. With cleverness and teamwork, we'll triumph where we go. Cheers, lady. Professor, to Threnody I raise my cup. For goodness sake, Jack-o'-lantern, please shut the hell up.
They sallied on forth to the Aeon's 12th fringe city. Though the sight they beheld was a vision to pity, what started as a merry travel all jolly and fair, died seeing black smoke rise from a township in despair. Landing the Lucid and coach lot making their way, they cautiously disembarked to the chaotic fray. There were people of frenzy as they shoved and they ran, screaming and stabbing, crying babies in a trash can.
Someone has thrown away some perfectly good babies.
Hurling his hand back, seeing them foaming with rabies,
Terribly dreadful.
she said as she pulled from the soot, feeding the feral babies an old discarded foot.
Prepare yourselves.
Lord said, surveying the outcropping.
Weapons at the ready, 'tis the season of shopping.
The township was furnished to host these annual raids, with iron bars, plated glass, and fortified blockades. However, this shopping spree seemed especially mad. Not even our Lord Epitaph had seen it this bad. The shop where the Hollystones were usually found was smoldering with black smoke and was burned to the ground. The Hollystones' mine struts were toppled and robbed bare, a crowd gathering round a merchant coach in the square. In the center there stood a man, fat, flabby, and coarse, holding an elixir atop a dead bio-horse. Top hat, monocle, and a mustache reeking of rum.
Who is that jaunty old creeper? Oh God, it's Grublum.
Ladies and gentlemen, gather round and see here. Grublum's own holiday water elixir is here. When you don't have a Hollystone to get you through spring, Grublum's water elixir will do just the thing.
Then he uncorked the elixir which smelled of decay.
The rotting bio-horse he's on spells better, I say.
He beckoned a fair maiden near, and to her surprise, he splashed the elixir in her face. She screamed. She convulsed to the ground, she flailed, cursed, clawed, and she vexed. Grublum replied,
You're very welcome, my dear. Who's next?
The crowd fell upon Grublum to procure his false drink, while our grimace-faced trio took a moment to think.
This season's corrupt.
Lady Epitaph thought aloud.
Years of HollyFilth's evil has stricken this crowd.
I say forget Hollystones and go kill this old strife.
Tonight we shall put an end to the HollyFilth's life.
Outside the crowd, the lady raised her hand in the air, prompting quick silence as she shot out a magic flare.
Hark now, you frenzied townfolk, listen now, listen well. The HollyFilth's wickedness has you under his spell. You clamor for petty and trivial things, to hope that you won't endure what the HollyFilth brings. I give you my most solemn vow as Lord Epitaph, the HollyFilth will perish under glorious wrath. For peace to the land will be the gift that I shall give. Now can anyone tell me where does the monster live?
The crowd murmured and sneered, not quite knowing what to say. No one's ever survived to stand in the HollyFilth's way. A little girl stepped forth, all covered in elixir.
I think I know where doth live the wicked old trickster, beyond the Pine Valley at the bottommost moor. I heard stories that there is an icy covered door. In winter it's guarded by evil golems of snow. Inside lives the HollyFilth, where sane people don't go.
Nodding to the mob, they rose into the snowy shroud, to the awe and amazement of the bewildered crowd. They blasted through as the Pine Valley under them flowed, taking potshots at golems as they expertly mowed. Settling the ship on a moor that they had chosen. The black and rotting caked land was boggy and frozen. Snow golems appeared before them. They lurched and they did thresh. Our crew just happily burst through their twinkling flesh. They stood at a large door with icicles like black fang. Lady Epitaph snapped her fingers and broke the door with a clang. What bellowed forth was a stench just as loud as its roar. But our fearless trio marched to the shadowy floor. They were soon enveloped inside a harrowing groan. They peered in the abyss, knowing they were not alone. Lady Epitaph produced a vial of pure light. They all gasped when they were met with a terrible sight. What stood before them was not a tall beastly wild, but a small and shrivelly-looking monster child. His voice was still a thunderous cacophonied bloat.
Sorry, I had a small chunk of baby stuck in my throat. Now, who doth dare intrude on my horrendous domain?
We are here to put an end to your seasonal pain. Now prepare yourself, fiend. This grave will be where you lie. Hope you make peace with your devils. It is time to die.
And with clash and bash, a cleave and a smash, and clip full spent of rivet point flash, the HollyFilth let out a deathly gurgly rattle, and lay dead in the dust. 'Twas the end of the battle.
Tales of Epitaph's triumph will be forever read.
Yeah, but we will need some proof. Hey, let's cut off his head.
Epitaph's lamina sepulchra went snick-a-snack, and with its head, they left it dead, and went galumphing back. And so our trio returned to the 12th township to regale the humble townsfolk of their triumphant trip.
Hark now, fellow villagers, I bring you season's cheer. We have vanquished the HollyFilth, so have no fear. I bring you the head of our infamous villainous spit, though it is a lot smaller than I care to admit.
Professor held HollyFilth's head as high as he could raise. They stood triumphantly on deck, awaiting the praise.
Fools, with your magical tech, you have ruined our town! Our economy was the Hollystones underground! Certainly now, from you off, their town is in ruin! You cursed us to poverty the moment you blew in!
Our three looked at each other with an appearance of dread.
I suppose we should leave. What to do with this head?
I don't want to bring that home with its opposite grin. I don't know, Professor, just throw that head in the bin?
Our dejected comrades slumped to lucid like the dead, while someone chunked a bottle at the professor's head.
Son of a...
And so our outlandish story has come to an end. To the dark airwaves this story we lovingly send. Happy seasons to listeners through space and through time.
Anyone else notice that everything seemed to rhyme?
Huh?